Assalamualaikum and hi. My name is Nur Ain Aisha Zinda Binti Zakaria. I will begin our group discussion. Environmental policy refers to any measure by a government or corporation or other public or private sector regarding the effects of human activities on the environment, particularly those measures that are designed to prevent or reduce harmful effects of human activities on ecosystem. There are at least 34 acts related to environmental issues, and one of them is the Environmental Quality Act of 1974. This policy is one of the important policies to guide people about the environment. Other than that, this policy was created to prevent and control any problems that may lead to the damage of the various environmental problems. Another reason, it is a concern with how to regulate the beneficial relationship between humans and the natural environment.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Dayang Nur Fateha and I'm going to present about the environmental policy problem. First of all, water pollution is a thing that is popular in our country. This pollution consists of various causes like the dumping of toxic waste into the river by factories along the river. Factory operators will take an easy way by removing toxic waste into the river. In this way, they do not have to spend on disposal costs. Indirectly, marine life in the river like fish will be killed due to exposure to the chemicals. Then, this water pollution will also occur because human activity like throw rubbish disposal into the river, sea and channel the waste of sewage into the drain. This thing happen because of the lazy attitude to put trash to the proper place. The effect will cause us to lack the source of clean water supply. Apart from that, the next policy problem is air pollution. There are three causes of this problem. Among them are open burning. This thing happens when a handful of people who are irresponsible burn garbage and will directly release harmful gases that will have negative effect on the society as well as the environment. This happens as they prefer to burn the trash rather than throwing the trash to the proper place. After that, excessive vehicle smoke emission will also cause haze and so on. This thing happens because some cars do not have smoke filter that will worsen the environment. Plastic pollution is an inevitable global issue because of plastic consumption in various daily activity in Malaysia like buying activity. The result of statistics stated that 5 trillion plastic bags were used annually and 13 tons of them would be thrown into the sea, while estimated at an average of 1 million plastic bottles would be purchased every minute. For Malaysia, it can be estimated at an average of 9 billion plastic used by Malaysians every year and partly will end in the ocean. This situation will be worse if continuous plastic disposals is still ongoing and will bring various bad things like disfigure the food system at sea. Lastly, uncontrolled deforestation is also often occurring in our country. That is due to the attitude of a handful of greedy people and selfishness by doing illegal logging. This act will bring many fatalistic effects like the destruction of flora and fauna. As a result of illegal logging, wild animals will be homeless and indirectly affect the ecosystem balance. In addition, soil erosion will occur if there is no tree root to grip the ground and might cause a flood when the rain falls. This thing happen because the soil will be loose and cause landslide.
There are many objectives that we can find in creating this environmental policy. Firstly, as a normal people, we all want a clean environment, safe and healthy, and also a productive environment for the present and future generations. This is to ensure that all sectors of society are living in a good environment and also to avoid any sickness from the environment. For example, air pollution and water pollution are the most common thing that happen in our country. Therefore, we must take a good care of our environment by creating this policy so that we can prevent any problems that may affect our society. Besides, having a safe and healthy environment not just only gives a benefit to the people, but also to the animals and plants. The second objective is to ensure equitable access to environmental resources and quality for all sections of society, and in particular, to ensure that the poor communities are assured secure access to these resources. In this generation, not everyone living with good financial resources and a good standard of living. Therefore, this policy is very important because if we don't, it will impact the communities, especially the poverty. In conclusion, we must have a clean environment to have a healthy living. The more we don't care about our environment, the more it will become polluted with toxins that will harm our health, especially on those poor people. Setting goals helps the country to achieve what we want and what we hope for. Firstly, we can promote healthier environments. To improve health, we have to clean the environment by stop purchasing chemicals that contains carcinogen, use recycled product where feasible, and especially be responsible citizens. The more we take care of our environments, the more we can have a cleaner and good quality home. Therefore, a caring environment is very important and is something that should be inherent in us. Our interaction as people with the environment should be in a way that we use the resources nature provides, but in a sustainable manner. Furthermore, if we succeed in protecting our environment, we can continuously improve the quality of the environment. We will be able to have sustainable lifestyles and patterns of consumption and production. Environmental quality includes the natural environment as well as the built environment, such as air, water, purity and pollution, noise, and the potential effects which such characteristics may have on physical and mental health. Therefore, if we protect our environment, which is forest and humanity, we will be able to use many natural resources that we can use to survive and use daily. Thank you.
Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is Nofar Shadwana binti Rosazid. So now I will present about actors in the creation of policy.
Actors in the creation of policy. National Policy on the Environment (PASN) is one of the actors that were involved in the creation of the environmental policy. PASN is a Malaysian government agency tasked with administering issues related to the environment and monitoring the enforcement of activities related to flora and fauna. PASN has been established to continue economic, social and cultural progress as well as improve the quality of life of Malaysians through environmental well-being and sustainable development. The purpose of PASN is to achieve a clean, sustainable, secure and productive environment for present and future generations. Secondly, conservation of a unique and diverse culture and natural heritage with the effective participation of all sectors of society. And lastly,
lifestyle, consumption patterns, and sustainable productions. Secondly, the Department of the Environmental, DOE. Since 1981, DOE has become an influential body in the development implementation of Malaysian environmental policy. The operational tasks of policy enforcement have been shouldered by the Department of Environmental, DOE. The main function of DOE is to prevent, eliminate, control pollution, and improve the environment. In line with the purpose of the Environmental Quality Act 1974 and the regulations thereunder, DOE is also responsible for implementing resolutions decided through international conventions on the environment.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ashraf Aziz bin Shukri, and I will be presenting the implementation of the environmental policies. So as you can see, Malaysia government use Malaysia Green Strategies, which is to create awareness based on environmental importance. This particular strategy has a coding mission, which is in order to preserve mother nature, such as prevention, control pollution, and environmental degradation. That is one. And secondly, to effective use of natural resources and many more. So therefore, the strategy is really essential towards saving the environmental well-being. So let's moving on to the other one, which is the implementation, which is Love Our River campaign, environmental campaign, and non-plastic bag program. So first of all, Love Our River campaign is basically was to aim to promote people awareness. So by promoting people awareness and also to be responsible towards our river and learn to overcome the issue of the river pollution. So secondly, on the environmental campaign, which is this implementation is basically created in order to clean, manage, and give awareness about the importance of the environmental surrounding. So to be a simple word, to be example is such as like gotong royong is conducted every week to clean the environment. And lastly, on the implementation was no plastic bag program. So in this implementation was it's actually stated that to make awareness by let people have a feelings about the environmental, as they don't have to use plastic bag for a day, for instance, like in Saturday, which is no plastic bag a day, which is in a grocery or like a shopping mall, something like that. So from that day is it have a significant impact, which is going to, in order to avoid any environmental polluted due to plastic bag, because plastic bag is degradable. Thank you.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Norain Harun. My student ID is 2020626842, and today I would like to evaluate the environmental policy based on the SWOT analysis. The first one is strength. In Malaysia, environmental policy works aligned with the strategy planning of national development. We can conclude that all of the people in Malaysia agree and promise to obey the rules and the policies. That is why the enforcement of law can be made if the citizens disobey the provisions or regulations that were made under the environmental policy. For instance, in March 2019, there was a report about the toxic chemical waste being illegally dumped in Sungai Kim Kim, located in Pasir Gudang, Johor Bahru. The waste was identified as marine oil, which can cause flammable methanol and benzene fumes. Unfortunately, there were 31 people, including the students of school nearby, canteen workers, and a Department of Environment investigator were reported hospitalized because of the toxic chemical waste. After collecting the sources under the investigation, 2 companies' directors, including the lorry drivers of the companies, were charged in the Johor Bahru Sessions Court for the cause of the chemical pollution of Sungai Kim Kim. This proved that the government really emphasized the rules and laws that have been made for us to be followed. Next, the existence of this act has become one of the sources of strength which make this policy can be established in Malaysia. By the time that this law has been implemented in our country, it helped to guide all the aspects including the behavior of citizens and also the guarantees of clean and safer environment. For instance, all the activities held under this environmental policy are a good way to make a step, guide the public so that they will be aware of their surroundings for the sake of the comfort of living. This can lead to the healthy lifestyle of them regarding a safer and healthier environment that is free from pollution. Now, we are about to discuss the weaknesses of the policy and laws made under the environmental policy. One of the causes is our enforcement of law, which some of the rules and the regulation formulated in order to keep the environment clean also to well organize the citizens' behavior. But in contrast, it is not seriously being done by the authorities. Unlike Singapore, the enforcement of law is more rigid that the public who disobey the rules will face serious action. As in Malaysia, we have experienced industrial growth along with urbanization that become the main reasons for a lot of air pollution that comes from the industrial sector. Almost every day, they release the chemical gases that harms the citizens, but none of them were taking action, but just received several warnings from the authorities. Not only that, open burning cases also keep increasing, yet no action was taken to the person that was involved. Irresponsible citizens exist when there is lack of publicity. These issues are currently linked with the peoples who lived in the rural areas, especially the one that located at East Malaysia, more likely in Sabah and Sarawak, also conclude all the rural places around the country. Most of them do not know much about the activities under the environmental laws because the affected areas are slightly having connection problems. By the time being, the information about the activities held under this policy had been spread through the media, social, televisions, and radios that helps them to know little much about this. So, in order to make the environmental policy known by all the peoples, the government can do the collaboration with the schools and all the suitable education sectors as the approach to spread the rule activities under this policy. This is because the students and the teachers are more likely to understand and can practice the implementation of the environmental policy. For some reasons, the educators in high or low education levels, they can insert the elements of the laws and policies under the subjects that they are learning. For instance, subject pendidikan civic, so it can teach them how to take good care of our environment and obey the rules that have been made by the government. Not only that, as the media social is broadening nowadays, yet it can't be deniable. But we should also think of other initiatives to spread the policies and laws to the citizens. For example, providing banners, printing and catalog, also spread it via newspapers. This is because, along with the media social users, the generations with low intellect and the older are more likely not exposed to the gadgets. Hence, they are more preferred reading the newspapers and catalogs so that they know about the information about the environmental laws and the activities that have been held under it. The banner also, the catalog, and the other reading sources also helps the people that lived in the rural area, as they sometimes can't catch up with the news due to the network disturbance. Although the laws and the policies are set up to be followed by the public, a part of the citizens do not give their approval about the implementation of this policy. It is because this thing is related to them and does not know the exact way to save the environment. This happens because they do not really care about their surroundings and just living their life without thinking about others. Lack of reading and misleading information spread in the media social also caused why some of the citizens do not accept this policy. Thus, this is the best solution to keep our environment clean and safe. For some reason, the most strong evidence is that the most of the population of peoples are working, so that they have no time to get along with the new issues happening in our country and take this policy as a little thing. As we can see, mostly the activities like gotong royong are mostly joined by the elders, yet there is just small amount of youngsters and parents that are involved in this activity. Eventually, the situation leads to the existence of irresponsible citizens, and if we do not curb this problem real fast, it will affect the policy and also our environment. Although all of us, including the governments and the organizations' goals, are to protect our environment, technically we have to worry about the peoples that always manipulated the environmental resources. I believed all of us already heard about the illegal logging that mostly happened in the forest. The one that have the authority are allowed to do the logging maybe for industrial usage. But there are also some parties that use their power to do this kind of illegal thing just for their own interest. 7 December 2020, it was reported that 16 of 37 permanent forests in Kelantan were invaded illegally by the illegal loggers. However, they were still under control. Those found involved in this activity will face a maximum fine of Rm 500,000 and imprisonment of not less than 1 year and not more than 20 years based on the National Forestry Act 1984 Amendment 1993. To make the environmental policy known to the public and to make sure that all of them obey it, the government should prepare by hand on how to promote and attract the public's participation to assure the successful implementation of the environmental policy and legislation. As time goes by, media massa has been and always be the attraction to the citizens. That is why the government should take a step to attract more people using the publication in social media and also other communication sources like television, radio, newspaper, and many more. The authorities also should wisely choose the best and strongest information about the policies and laws so that the people can easily understand and read them. If the government consents to these approaches, there is a low possibility to the public of not knowing about the environmental policy. only that, by spreading this policy through media massa, we can lead and teach the public the exact way to take care of our environment, as all of us want to live in a safe and clean area that is free from dangerous sickness, for instance, dengue issues. Next, to improve the environmental law and also require the continuous strengthening of a legal framework and an institution with official environmental standards, the environmental protection legislation should focus on conservation of natural resources rather than merely focusing on corrective measures. This law must include the prevention of environmental damage by unplanned development and illegal logging activities. It must include, amongst others, the development planning process to focus on features of the land and natural resources, environmental impact assessment to prevent negative effects of production activities and construction works. Also, the management plans for secure areas. This should be highlighted by the government because it was reported once that our country recorded 15.2 million ringgit losses due to illegal logging. It is not only affected the forest, but also our economic system. The third one is the issue of overlapping power between environmental protection agencies should be resolved. The issue of duplicating power can be resolved by establishing stop center at the federal government level. It is to implement environmental protection measures as well as enforcing regulations. There must be a piece of clear environmental policy information that is enforced not only by legal mechanisms, but also through the adoption of different mechanisms that operate as part of the economic performance of the country, as well as part of code for social responsibilities.
To sum up our discussions, we can see that environmental policy is one of the good policies to be implemented in our country. We will ensure that we can maintain and protect this world for future generations by implementing this policy. Other than that, this policy also can help us to achieve our goals, which are a nation aspiration of becoming a green country in the future. Lastly, due to some weaknesses in this implementation, the government of Malaysia should be conscious of the country's law and order situation before enforcing it, so it can be avoided from happening.